So you agree that people who break in and vandalize a building should be prosecuted?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just checking because you did help raise money for people who did so on January 6th, which was, impeding an official proceeding, breaking into a building that they weren't allowed to be in, and vandalizing the Capitol.
Well, Kaitlan, I know that this is the obsession of the national media to talk about what happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago on January the 6th.
It's not an obsession. I'm just seeing if it's a double standard.
No, let me answer the question, Kaitlan. I mean, look, here's been my basic argument about January the 6th. If you beat up a cop, of course you deserve to go to prison. If you violated the law, you should suffer the consequences. But there are people who protested on January the 6th who have had the complete weight of the Justice Department thrown at them when, at worst, they're accused of misdemeanors.
I also love how J.D. Vance is a hypocritical piece of garbage. And yeah, he does not believe in free speech, right to protest, any of it. So many Republicans have come forth and straight up, called for violence and said that if this happened in their state, and bragged about what they would do, in terms of like Tom Cotton, running protesters off a bridge with his car type of rhetoric.
If something like this happened in Arkansas on a bridge there, let's just say I think there'd be a lot of very wet criminals that have been tossed overboard, not by law enforcement, but by the people whose road they're blocking. If they glued their hands to a car or the pavement, well, probably pretty painful to have their skin ripped off. But I think that's the way we'd handle it in Arkansas. And I would encourage most people anywhere that get stuck behind criminals like this who are trying to block traffic to take matters in their own hands. There's only usually a few of them, and there's a lot of people being inconvenienced. It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
None of them believe in free speech. I mean, for themselves, not for you. Not so much for you. It is funny. There's a lot of people that, J6 deniers that are absolutely incensed with college students protesting. I wish there was some type of, historical context for college students protesting a war and being met with violence. I mean, there's nothing. I think this is the first time it's ever happened. I mean, I'm watching all of these Columbia University protests. I mean, they look very peaceful, and you can see the cops clearly opening the door to let them in. I mean, these people were peaceful, and if it wasn't peaceful, then it was probably Antifa. It's not difficult. I don't know why these liberals just can't understand that it's like, when we do it, it's patriotism. When they do it, it's communism. It's, Chinese communism. I mean, simple logic. What's the big problem? If you want to protest, you should protest, not at a university, not on the streets, because you might block traffic. You should sort of maybe protest at home. Just sort of whisper it to a candle as you blow it out, right? And that's a perfectly acceptable form of protest that the founding fathers would have totally loved. Remember how, civil and organized the Boston Tea Party was? I mean, it was like a parade, really. You shouldn't have people protesting at a college. It's just, colleges, universities are not places for children to go and have their ideas challenged at all, right? Like I could be walking along trying to get to class, and then there's these people like intense, and they might challenge my, worldview on something. That's not making me feel safe. There's so many people that will, like when a Nazi, a literal white supremacist who is like, a Nick Fuentes wants to go on campus, wants to speak on campus, wants to do anything on campus, they will defend that person. They'll defend Matt Walsh going on campus repeatedly. With this though, that's different. This is, un-American, Hamas, blah, blah, blah. It also brings up the fact that literally like most Americans, I think why we have failed as a country in a lot of ways is because there's this mentality of protesting of like, right, like you're not supposed to protest. Like what do protests even accomplish, really? Oh, there's so many liberals or, so-called progressives that will be like, I don't even know what these protests are actually accomplishing. I mean, there's other ways, right? I'm not telling anyone not to vote, but these same people would be like, listen, instead of protesting or taking collective action, just show up to the voting booth once every 2 to 4 years. Show up to the voting booth once, maybe twice, from the primary. So 4 days, primary, and then, so 4 days out of 4 years, just show up, and, that'll fix it. That'll show the powers that be. That'll bring AIPAC to its knees, right? For the record, I'm still voting.